All right. So we're walking you through some of the student stories that were posted. I want to introduce you now to, or in a minute, to Oscar Nzikwu. Oscar Nzikwu has been working with us at Planet Forward for the last couple of years, and he's published a series of podcasts, a half a dozen of them, in his Art Environment series. And he's using each of them to profile a different black artist who is using art to connect to community around planet, environment, climate, environmental justice, things we need to know about. And doing it in a way, both the artist and Oscar, to bring people together across difference, new voices, new narratives, which we hope will actually transform the conflict. This is a story, a clip from Oscar's podcast with Amber Robles Gordon, who's a DC artist who works with mixed media, with concepts of Afrofuturism, envisioning the sort of green, equitable, vibrant future for people of color and others. Why'd you do these?
So for me personally, art is very important to me, and I don't think environmental art has ever been talked about, and I'm proud to be one of the first people to actually emphasize the importance of it.
In our storytelling. All right, let's take a listen, and then we'll come back. Take a quick hit. Listen.
Welcome to a new episode of Art Environment. My name is Oscar Nzikwu, and in this episode, we got a DC artist who intersects the concept of Afrofuturism in her art and as well as environmental issues. Introducing Miss Amber Robles Gordon.
For people who don't know, please introduce yourself and the art that you do.
My name is Amber Robles Gordon. I am a interdisciplinary artist, visual artist. I do large-scale installations, public art, textile, sculptural, collages. I like to create things that transform materials that originally serve one purpose and are usually discarded.
All right, so bravo, Oscar. They're all of Oscar's podcasts are posted at planetforward.org. Oscar, why podcast? Why did you like the podcast approach?
With being an artist, I feel like it's important to discover outlets outside your comfort zone. So I always do like music, poetry, dancing, acting. But with podcasts, I felt like I wanted to get used to it. I wanted to focus on a new outlet and be more diverse. And it was really a lot of fun. And I hope to make more going the longer route.
I hope you're doing. We do too. What do you want your audiences to come away from these conversations with?
You know, with my podcast, my series is called Art Environment, and I always heard down the streets that art is just a hobby, but it's not. And with my podcast, I'm here to prove that wrong. Art is a career, not just a career, but a tool that you can use to fuse with other subjects. And with creators, our goal is to create towards a sustainable future. And that's what Planet Forward is about, to create for sustainable futures. And we will continue to do that.
Oscar, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go from the art of the beautiful to the art of the possible. We were going to be joined today by Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici. Unfortunately, her schedule calendar intervened and she was unable to join us, but I was able to sit down and have a chat with her. And she is a co-chair of the Oceans Caucus. She's been involved with with environment and science committees and all the rest, and been a big advocate for this. I met her through the Golden Goose Awards, which is a AAAS funded recognition, really, to recognize federally funded, curiosity-driven science. And she reliably comes to those events with members of the other party. She's a Democrat, Republicans are there too. So I started by asking her, we'll see just a clip here, a few minutes. I started by asking her, is there anything left of bipartisanship on the Hill around these issues today? So take a look.
Yes, there are things that are happening that are bipartisan. And one of the things I want to mention that is very bipartisan is it's called SOS Save Our Seas, and that is about cleaning up marine debris. That has been a bipartisan effort, but also the Bipartisan Oceans Caucus, which I've been honored to co-chair for the last several years. So you find common ground, whether that be an economic reason. Some people connect on a faith basis about saving God's earth. That if that works with some people, but I find that it really helps to talk about what it means for the economy and the future.
What are you working on right now that involves reaching across the aisle?
Well, what we do is talk to people who understand that these are issues we must address. And I mentioned Save Our Seas, the marine debris bill, the Oceans Caucus. We have a new bipartisan co-chair of the Oceans Caucus who represented Buddy Carter, who represents a district in Georgia with cosign. So people who care about these issues look at their own districts, but what we do is talk about how it affects each district and how it affects the country. But even, I mean, I've spent years talking about why people across the country, even in landlocked states, should support ocean health. Because, for example, their constituents want to go to the grocery store and buy some great, Pacific Northwest salmon or shellfish, or go to the restaurant and order some oysters. And if those aren't, if we don't have healthy ocean, we don't have those products. So you talk about it economically as well, but telling stories really does matter. When we talk about policy in the abstract, like I don't go out to the Oregon coast and say, we need to fight the climate crisis. I talk about how we need to work on having a healthy ocean and how we need to have tsunami warnings and earthquake warnings and really make that local. What I like to do is tell a story about someone I spoke with in Oregon who did some energy efficiency work on her home, transitioned to renewable energy, and now sees a credit on her utility bill. When people are caring about costs going up, let's talk about how we can have more affordable energy, and that is with renewable energy. So we tell those stories. Sometimes if we talk in the abstract about things like the social cost of carbon, people don't understand that what it means is that if we don't transition from dirty fossil fuels, we're also going to have health impacts. So you tell a story. People are scared. They don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it feels very bleak, but we can't let that happen. There's too much at stake. There's too much at stake for our communities, for our economy, for the environment, and really for our future.
What is the role of young people at a time like this in this country at this moment?
The role of young people is really critical. They have a role by telling their stories, by getting involved. I often encourage young people, if they're really passionate about a particular issue, to just dive in and learn as much about it as you can, but also speak up and speak out. Your voice very much matters. My message to people who are here today is thank you for caring. I hear you. I share your concern about the attacks on science, the attacks on public education, the attacks on democracy, the attacks on civil rights. I share those concerns, but we can't give up. We must fight. Your voices matter. So please stay involved, speak up, speak out, and you will make a difference, and we'll get through this together.
All right. All right, inspiring words, and while we're here. So, and that conversation, like the others that you're seeing here, pieces of it will be available in its entirety on planetforward.org. So expanding this conversation, how do we do that? How do we reach across the aisle? How do we confront difficult conversations with people who think very differently or somewhat differently than us?